Okay, I want you to do something for me. For just a second, close your eyes.
Yeah.
Picture a toy.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, I'm not talking about the stuff you grab in a blister pack at a big box store.
Yeah.
You know, that rigid, brittle plastic that feels hollow and just snap.
Oh, yeah. The stuff that usually ends up in a landfill in like 6 months when the next big movie comes out.
Exactly. That disposable junk. I want you to imagine something completely different. Imagine something with heft.
Okay.
Something that feels dense in your hand.
Yeah.
Like it has a real center of gravity. And it has a smell.
Yeah.
A very specific, distinct smell.
I think I know where you're going with this.
It's sweet, it's chemical, and for a lot of people, it is incredibly nostalgic. It's the scent of vinyl.
Yeah.
It feels almost organic, maybe a little soft to the touch, but also incredibly durable. You can squeeze it, and it pushes back.
You were describing a sensory experience that drives a very specific group of people absolutely crazy.
Right.
You're talking about Sofubi?
Sofubi. It's a Japanese term, right? A contraction for soft vinyl. And for a growing group of global collectors, this isn't just about toys. I mean, it is a full-blown religion, an obsession. And today, we're going deep into a brand that's taking this traditional Japanese craft and just injecting it with this dose of high-end design and mecha nostalgia.
We're talking about AnonymousRidicule,
A studio based in Singapore, of all places.
which is such a fascinating case study because the world of designer toys or art toys is massive. You have everything from Kaws to Bear Bricks, which are huge. But AnonymousRidicule, or AR, they carve out a very specific, sharp niche.
They're not doing the cute round monsters.
No, not at all. They are doing high-concept, battle-ready robots.
Right. And we're going to dive into how this passion project evolved into a global brand. We have a serious stack of sources today. Production blogs, artist interviews, release notes from the founder, Ken Tay.
And even some context on the broader kaiju scene to help us place where AR fits into the whole picture.
So our mission today is, well, it's pretty straightforward. How does a childhood love for retro robots evolve into these premium art pieces that cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars?
And we have to unpack the manufacturing process because, spoiler alert, the way these things are made is wildly inefficient, kind of dangerous, and completely fascinating.
It's the why behind the price tag. That's what I really want to get to.
Exactly. It's what separates a $20 action figure from a piece of art that people will literally fight over online. It's the sweat equity in the object itself.
So let's start at the beginning. The brain behind all this is a guy named Ken Tay. He's based in Singapore, and he founded the brand back in 2020.
And that date, 2020, is really interesting, isn't it?
It is. That was a year where everyone sort of went internal. We all picked up hobbies. I baked sourdough bread.
And he started a high-end toy brand. It was the year of introspection for the entire planet. And for Ken Tay, that introspection went toward his lifelong obsession. Mecha. Big, stomping, mechanical robots. But here's the key. Ken didn't start as a toy manufacturer. He didn't go to business school to learn how to sell plastic units. He started as a fan.
He was a collector first?
He was a mecha enthusiast sharing his daily hobbies on Instagram. He was a consumer.
And I think that's a crucial distinction. He wasn't some corporate suit looking for a market gap to exploit.
No, he was inside the house already. He knew what collectors wanted because he was one.
Right.
And there's this turning point that happens for serious collectors, maybe you felt this, where consuming just isn't enough anymore. You hit a wall. You say, I love this, but I want to add my own verse to the song.
He wanted to build the robots, not just buy them.
He wanted to contribute to the canon. So in 2020, he makes the leap. He establishes AnonymousRidicule, but he's very careful about how he frames it. He doesn't call it a toy company.
He calls it a design brand. Is that just marketing speak?
I don't think so. I really don't. I think it's a statement of intent. When you say toy company, you think of mass production, you think focus groups, profit margins.
Right. Safety testing for 3-year-olds.
Exactly. But when you say design brand, you're signaling that the aesthetic and the process come first. The philosophy is about celebrating that love for mecha by collaborating with other artists. It's about filtering that childhood joy through adult design principles.
It's elevating the whole medium. And what about that name? AnonymousRidicule. It's a bit
aggressive,
isn't it? It's got an edge, for sure. But in art, anonymous often implies a separation between the creator and the work. It lets the brand be an umbrella for all this output without it being the Ken Tay show.
Okay, that makes sense.
And ridicule.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's a nod to the fact that playing with toys as an adult is something society used to ridicule. He's owning it. reclaiming it.
I love that take. Okay,
Yeah.
so we have the who and the why. But this is where I want to slow down and really get into the how, because this is the part that just blew my mind. We live in a world of 3D printing. If I want a robot figure, I can download a file, hit print, and have it in a few hours.
And it would look perfect.
Yeah.
Geometrically flawless. Right. But AR specifically chooses not to do that for the final product. They go the hard way, the really, really hard way.
And this is the technical nugget that explains everything about this market. To get AR, you have to get the difference between modern tech and traditional craft. You have to understand Sofubi. AR uses a process called slush casting.
Slush casting, it sounds like making a frozen drink.
It's a lot hotter and way more dangerous than making a margarita. But the idea is kind of similar, so let's walk through it. An AR figure actually starts with modern tech. They aren't Luddites.
Okay.
It starts with a sketch, to get the personality. Then they use software like ZBrush or Blender to digitally sculpt the character.
So it's all on a computer screen at first. Very modern.
Correct. And they do 3D print a prototype. They have to. They need a physical object to test the joints, to see if it stands up, if the head turns.
So far, this all sounds pretty standard. Where does the old school come in?
Here's the fork in the road. Most companies would just take that 3D file and injection mold it or mass print it. AR takes that 3D printed prototype and uses it to create a heavy metal mold.
Oh, wow.
Traditionally copper or iron, this is old school tooling. You're making a heavy industrial tool that looks like a torture device.
And this is where the Sofubi magic happens.
This is it. They take liquid vinyl, which has a consistency like pancake batter or heavy syrup, and they pour it into this metal mold. But they don't fill it up. Just a scoop of this liquid vinyl goes in.
And the mold is hot, right?
The vinyl is heated, the mold is heated, and then, this is the slush part, they clamp the mold shut and they spin it. They rotate it, sometimes by hand, slushing the liquid inside so that it coats the inner walls of the mold.
Like swirling wine in a glass.
Perfect analogy. As it spins, the vinyl coats the walls and starts to cure. Once it's set, they open the mold. But here's the kicker. The figure is now this hollow, flexible piece of hot vinyl trapped inside a rigid metal cavity.
So how do you get it out? It sounds like it's completely stuck.
You pull it. A craftsman uses pliers and just raw physical strength to yank this hot, rubbery robot out of the mold.
No way.
It's a violent physical act. The vinyl has to distort and stretch to get out, and then it snaps back into shape as it cools.
That is unbelievably labor-intensive, and I bet the failure rate isn't zero.
It's high skill, and then it has to be trimmed, assembled, and then hand-painted. Every single one.
So I have to ask the obvious question, why? Why go through all that hassle when a 3D printer gives you perfect detail with zero sweat?
AR actually talks about this. They talk about the warmth of the material. A 3D print can feel cold, brittle, and dead. It's too perfect.
It lacks soul.
That's the word. Sofubi has this organic texture. It feels almost like skin. And it has these tiny imperfections from being hand-pulled. Maybe the vinyl is a micron thicker on one side. These aren't defects. They're evidence of a human hand.
It connects the object all the way back to the history of Japanese toy making from the 60s. It's authenticity.
It's the difference between a pristine MP3 and a vinyl record. The crackle, the ritual. That's what the collector's paying for. The material itself is part of the art.
That's a great way to frame it. Okay, so we get the how. Now let's talk about the what. Because AR has these very specific characters with their own lore. The first one that really put them on the map was the OD Boy Z.
Yes, the OD Boy Z. Their first true designer toy. And the vibe is totally different from your classic superhero. The tagline is urban-born, mech-forged.
Urban-born, mech-forged. I love that. It sounds like a sci-fi street gang.
That's pretty much what they are. Street-level disruptors, dripping with attitude. They wear oversized clothes. They have mechanical limbs. They look like they listen to hip-hop and break stuff.
And it wasn't a focus group decision.
No, not at all. It was born from chaos and creativity. Sketches, late-night brainstorms, and a desire to make something that looked battle-worn. The theme is rebellion. These aren't the shiny, perfect robots of some utopia. They look like they've seen some action.
Which brings us to the heavyweight champion of their lineup, the one that just screams retro robot to me, the ARBOTZ.
The ARBOTZ is definitely the icon. If OD Boy Z is the rebellious teen, ARBOTZ is the classic hero. It's about 7 inches tall, which is a standard size for Sofubi.
And the key feature is the interchangeable heads, right?
That's the cool part. It's what makes it a toy and not just a statue. You can swap between a pilot head, like a human in a helmet, and a robot head, which is fully mechanical.
And it has 5 points of articulation. That's very specific to this retro style, isn't it? Modern figures have, like, 30 points?
Exactly. It's an intentional limitation. Sofubi figures usually only move at the neck, shoulders, and legs because of how they're molded. It forces that nostalgic, stiff posture. It's a direct tribute to vintage Japanese mecha culture.
And looking at the sources, the variations are endless. There's a glow-in-the-dark one called Yiguang,
Which is huge in the collector world. GID vinyl is a subgenre all on its own. People go nuts for it.
and then they evolved it into the Mark II line. This is where you see the design brand part flexing. They have specific colorways like Bumblebee, Dragon, Galaxy.
Right, and this shows the versatility of that single metal mold. You take the same shape, but apply a different paint job. Maybe metallic sprays, maybe an airbrushed nebula effect for the Galaxy version, and it becomes a completely different character. The sculpt is a canvas.
We should also mention the Skull Rider and the Daruma. These feel a bit more experimental.
The Skull Rider is like a reimagining of classic Sentai heroes, think Power Rangers, but with a darker cyborg twist. But the Daruma is the one I find really fascinating.
That's the round, red Japanese doll for luck.
Exactly. It represents perseverance. AR takes this centuries-old symbol and remixes it. They do an Iron Man style or a Pour l'Amour edition. It's mashing up spiritual heritage with pop culture.
So I want to zoom out for a second. We mentioned kaiju. AR focuses on mecha robots, but in the Sofubi world, kaiju monsters are usually the main event. Where does AR fit in?
That's a great question. We can look at a comparison from our sources. Max Toy Co. They have this figure called the Kaiju Tripus. Now, this thing weighs nearly 2 pounds.
2 pounds? That's not a toy, that's a weapon.
It's a beast, and it represents the monster side of Sofubi. Heavy, grotesque, organic. AR represents the other side of the coin, the mecha. Sleek, mechanical, clean lines. But, and this is the key, they're using the exact same manufacturing process.
The same liquid vinyl, same spinning molds.
But a totally different aesthetic result. It just shows the incredible diversity of the medium.
Okay, so we have the creator, the grueling process, the characters. But here's the big one. So what? Why should our listener care about a plastic robot from Singapore?
It really comes down to the ecosystem that AR has built. This isn't just about buying a toy, it's about buying into a lifestyle. And first, we have to talk about the investment side of it.
Yeah, I saw some of the prices. We are not talking pocket change.
No. We're talking anywhere from around 200 up to over 800 Singapore dollars for rare pieces. That's hundreds of US dollars. These are limited runs, and because the demand is high, they hold their value.
And they sell out. I saw they mentioned garage kits selling out. Those are the unpainted ones, right? Just raw vinyl.
Yes, and think about that. People are fighting to buy a disassembled, unpainted figure. It means they want to engage with the art. They want to paint it themselves. It validates us as a community of creators, not just passive consumers.
It's active participation. And AR has expanded beyond just the figures, too. They have a robot-made collection.
Right. If you can't afford the $800 figure, you can get the tote bag or the sticker. It turns the aesthetic into a lifestyle brand. You can signal your membership in this tribe without carrying a robot around.
And it seems pretty global. I saw on their site they list currency conversions for everywhere, from Argentina to Vietnam.
That's significant. It proves that the appetite for this niche art is worldwide, and they collaborate with international artists. Each release is basically a mini art exhibition that ships globally. It proves the language of cool robots is universal.
The language of cool robots.
I like that.
It's amazing how something so specific can connect people across continents.
It connects them through nostalgia, sure, but also through an appreciation for craft. When you hold one of these, you're holding the result of that whole slush molding process. You're holding a piece of culture.
So let's bring it all home. We've looked at Kentei's journey from fan to founder. We have geeked out hard-on slush molding. We've met the Odie Boy Z and the ARBOTZ.
We have. And I think the key takeaway here is that these aren't just toys. They're displayable stories. They're artifacts of a culture that blends childhood nostalgia with high-end adult manufacturing.
It's that intersection of 3D modeling and the old-school joy of playing with robots. It's a reminder that toys can absolutely be elevated to art.
It validates the collector. It says, your interest in this isn't childish. It's an appreciation of sculpture and design. It's okay to still love the things you loved when you were 10.
Here's a thought I want to leave you with, though. We talked about the imperfections in the Sofubi process. That wobble, the slight variations.
The soul of the toy.
Exactly. We live in a world where AI can generate perfect images in seconds. 3D printers can create flawless geometry. We are surrounded by digital perfection. It is cheap, and it is everywhere.
And yet the price of these imperfect, hand-poured figures keeps going up.
Right. So maybe that slight wobble in the vinyl is exactly what we're craving. Maybe, in an increasingly automated world, we're starting to pay a premium not for perfection, but for the evidence of a human hand. We want to know a person struggled to pull this thing out of a mold.
That the flaw proves the humanity.
Something to think about. That's it for this deep dive into anonymous ridicule. Thanks for listening.
Keep collecting.